What is up, DTube, Steam blockchain? So today I basically ordered a new phone. It is the Galaxy Note 10 Plus, and this phone is pretty impressive. So already I have been having the Galaxy S10 Plus for around 2 weeks, and it was just, whoa, this phone is really worth the price. Like when you look at like the value that you get, especially for a content creator, is like, whoa, this is worth it. Okay, this is worth it. So first of all, the Galaxy Note 10 Plus, now it cost me around $1,300, which is around with the recent sort of downturn of sort of Steam, it almost is like 10,000 Steam. So I wanted to do a video. I mean, it was a little bit like random. Like 10,000 Steam for a new phone, but I wanted to talk a little bit about that because I mean it's kind of interesting, right? Because okay, first of all, let's talk a little bit about the specs. So first, compared to the Galaxy S10 Plus, so first it has the stylus, of course. It has, oh yeah, you can, a little bit bigger display, 6.8 inch, faster charging, 45 watt fast charging, and wireless 15 watts, while the standard S10 Plus only has 15 watts in wired charging, while 45 watts in the Note 10 Plus. USB-C for headphone jack, maybe a little bit annoying, but I think eventually in the future we're not really gonna I see that as an issue. One UI 1.5 upgraded from One UI 1.1, so a little bit new features. 12 gigs of RAM in base RAM, while the S10 Plus has say 8 gigs of RAM and a 12 gig also, but that one is way more expensive. But the base, that is cool. I think around 200 more milliamps in battery life, but it's just, whoa. I mean, it is like just that faster charging alone and a little bit bigger display and the stylus and the more RAM. I mean, that is worth it. I think already also it had some new camera thing, and it's just interesting when you look at this. Like I looked at the micro SD, so also 256 gigabytes of internal storage, plus it has a support for micro SD of 1 terabyte. That's 1000 gig. You can put in a little bit of a card, put in the phone, send this cast one for $450. I don't want to spend that because that would be another 5,000 Steam. But it's just interesting. It's just interesting how these phones, like, it's like these smartphone companies. I mean, they're hiding all this great tech, and they're like slowly dripping it out, like slowly, over a very long period. They could probably release a lot of this like many years ago, but that's how this industry works. But people are really going to start to see the benefit of this eventually, because connecting all these phones, high-end phones with blockchain technology, is like after you cover these fixed costs, it's like you're good, man. You can earn the token stuff. So it's just interesting. Okay, so that is, I'm really looking forward to that device, to be honest. So it's like it's interesting, this whole thing with blogging and stuff like that. And the interesting part, as I talked about in the past, is the long tail, that it's not a problem with the technology, and it's just that people first need to have very good smartphones that has access to blockchain technology, and they need to be in a place where they get information about new cool stuff. And at the moment, a lot of people sitting on old phones, and it really slows things down. Like that is kind of hard to access like super great stuff, but it's getting easier. Information is getting a little bit more out there, and yeah, I mean, this aspect of consumers of video content, the aspect of production. Like at the moment, we don't have that much production. We don't have that much abundance in content creator in content creation that it should be. Like it should be people making content like all the time. They are not really doing that right now, but they should. Like in terms of video, for example, there should be new like HD videos every second, on these blockchain-based systems eventually, because we can piggyback a lot on YouTube. We don't have to do so much with the hosting stuff. You just need to add like layers on top, like the tokenized systems. So it's like the long tail is going to be amazing, because after the fixed costs are covered for something, it's like after the person has a high-end phone, for example, or a high-end computer, it's going to last at least 2 or 3 years. So that's a one-time fee, one-time fixed cost, and then they can have these value, like these revenue sources in tokens that comes in daily, and eventually that long tail should really work amazing. I mean, I see it on YouTube, for example. Many of my most popular videos, or most of many of my videos that's like pull in right now, they are from 2015. It's not even anything new. It's like this is like ultra long tail, where, and this is also how YouTube sort of works. That like these archive earnings, they are gonna be gold eventually. Like they're gonna be gold, because you'll be able to have done a video 5 years ago and still earn from it. That is amazing. Like lifetime earnings. That is basically what's eventually gonna pull all of this up, where most of the earnings are coming from past stuff, not like recent stuff. We love the recent stuff as well, but all of this older stuff should also be able to earn. And that is really like the key that eventually is going to create an amazing long tail effect, where people are going to be shocked about the long tails, because it's going to be like on my YouTube account, my main YouTube account, okay, I have 10-year-old videos there. They're still probably pulling in something. 10 years ago. 10 years. That is something that most people do not even have in their mind. Like that idea that you can have something produced 10 years ago and is still earning today. But a lot of bloggers with AdSense and stuff like that, they're starting to realize this. And it's very cool. It's very cool, because I think eventually they will be able to use like the resources that they have more optimized. They're gonna realize what kind of apps gives them the most value in return. They're gonna realize the draining stuff. They're gonna realize the useless websites. They're gonna realize with proof of brain eventually, like what is the most efficient way of using a phone, and how can I use a phone to create more value, because a lot of people have these machines now with super much computing power, but you're not really using them. Usually the camera stays idle the full day, both the front and the rear camera. They're probably not using the RAM, they're probably not using the CPU, they're probably not using the GPU that much. And if they're using it, they're probably using it in some kind of centralized app where most of the load that you're downloading is like ads, and you're not really earning anything, and it's kind of strange. And it's very interesting with near zero marginal cost systems eventually, because it just means that if you can just generate a few ones and zeros on top of something, you're going to be good. Like you are going to be good, because the fixed costs are going to keep go down, which is very, very nice, because then eventually you may realize that you can even use older devices again, because many people have devices that are like laying around that can produce new value and like new revenue streams. You can find ways to remix things. You can write, like for example with text, like isn't it amazing how you can write some kind of text on your device and earn from it? You only have to use a little bit of proof of brain, and spend an hour or two and really try to craft something great from what you are perceived in the world. Maybe add some photos, upload it, and even if you earn a little bit, I mean that's gonna add up quite fast. So even though people may not see it right now, they will see it, because I'm already seeing it now. I see these phones that are coming right now, and also these computers, and I'm starting to realize, okay, this is starting to get really good. This is starting to get really, really good, and then you're starting to see a little bit of a blip into the 2020 decade and forward. So I just look at this year, for example. We're soon coming to an end of 2019. This has been an amazing year, in terms of, especially in terms of, there's been a lot of great app development that I did not see in 2018. For example, with a lot of blockchain stuff. A lot of it is kind of low key. Not many people know about these apps right now, because it's like, and even talking about it may there's so much confusion in this space right now. So even talking about this a little bit would probably confuse a lot of people. But you can almost say like this: almost 20% of the work has been done. That's kind of accurate. 20% of the work has been done right now, 2019, and we need another. We need another 80% of work on the apps and stuff like that. But a great big chunk of 20% has been done just 2019 alone. So yes, it might take a couple of more years. I mean, if you say 20%, it sounds like it's going to take 5 more years, but I think it's going to take around 3 years, and then we're going to hit full 100% in amazing apps, plus the combination of amazing apps, plus the combination of the amazing smartphones, and you combine these with the AI, with the machine learning. Whoa, that's gonna be cool. So yeah, 10,000 Steem, that's a lot. That's a lot. But I know, for example, I know with phones that you can use them, you can make videos with them, you can create content with them, you can do so much with a phone. So these days they become worth it. They become the worth the cost because it's just a fixed cost, and then you can create value on top of that. And it's just amazing, especially when the whole infrastructure is being built. Instagram is still growing, Facebook is still growing, Twitter is still growing, all these systems, YouTube is still growing. These systems are still sort of growing, right? And it's kind of good to know, right? And people always have like massive demand right now. Like now we're starting to see in the mainstream, like a lot of people, like the consumer phase is starting to mature, which is kind of great because that is when people becomes ready to sort of consume stuff, and the consumer